So here data and data and functions are combined together as a single. So what all data you want, you have to collect it, and based on the data, what are the actions to be performed, that you will keep it together. So when these two are combined together, it forms an object. When these two are combined together, it forms an object. Based on this only, you are going to do the entire work. Okay. Then the next is student data and functions. Teacher data and functions are created as separate objects, and object student and teacher. That is this example only I have written over there. They are created separately, and further they can be joined together at a later stage. That is a little higher level for you. Okay. Later they can be combined together also. And then accessed with permissions. Accessed with permission means without any permission, you cannot directly go on to use the data or the functions. Without that is directly not possible to access. The next point related to that only I have written over there. Directly not possible to access, which means that whatever student data or whatever data, whichever object you create, for whatever it is, the data and the functions could be used only with prior permission. Could be used only with prior permission. Permission in the sense, here you have certain elements known as access specifiers. Here you have certain elements known as access specifiers. So with the use of those access specifiers only, you can go on to use these data and functions. Otherwise, it is not possible to use it. Is this clear? So these are the various OOP concepts, OOP preliminaries. Okay. Then the next, advantages of using OOP. Advantages of using OOP means a clear modular structure is there. That is what to do, how to do. Everything is split into small modules. The entire segments, okay, the entire structure is split into small modular structures as small units, and further they can be combined together as a single unit. And further they can be combined together as a single unit. Then good in defining abstract data types. You will be learning what abstract data types are. See, one simple example if I tell means, the work you are doing, you can see, but behind that, what is the action performed? And beneath that, what is the action performed? How is that work being done? You will not be able to see. If you want to do some work, the action that you are taking place will be visible to you, but the action behind the scene will not be visible to you. That is what is known as abstract. Okay. Implementation, hidden other modules, clearly defined interface. That is, implementation here means it's hidden. How the work is done. How the work is done is hidden for us. You need not be worried about how the things are working behind the scene. Okay. Or behind the scene. Other modules means there are so many modules over there. Each module will be interlinked with each other. How these modules are interlinked and all, you need not be much worried. Automatically, once if you just get connected to it, the modules keep linking with each other and it will work. Okay. Clear defined interface. That is onto which you are working, which platform you are working, it has a clear defined interface. That is onto the system where you are working, it has a clear defined interface. Means the structure of working pattern has a clear definition. The structure of working pattern has got a clear definition. Next, easy to maintain and modify existing code without disturbing the original. See, if you want to make any changes in your coding, that is, later when you move on to this chapter, you will be learning about all these, okay, in detail. Easy to maintain and modify existing code means that is at one stage, if you want to add some more steps, means you can go on to do it without making any changes in the already existing code. അതില് ഒരു വക ചേഞ്ചസും ചെയ്യാതെ തന്നെ you can just go on to include or exclude whatever you want, but the existing code will not be affected at all. It will be retained as original as it is. Okay. Implements real life scenarios. Implements real life scenarios means I told you that in this world anything and everything that you see around is treated as object, and so for each any object you can write a program. That is what meant by implements real life scenarios. So what is happening in our life, so how it is working, how things are done, what action to be performed, all these you have to understand, analyze, and then do it. So defines new data type and new operations for operators. Defines new data type. Here you will be learning about one more new data type, and based on the data type, what are the new operations you can perform and what are the new operators also you will be learning. Okay. Here in this concept of OOP, you will be learning one new data type and what are the new operations based on the data type and what are the operators. So this you will be learning in the next part of the lesson. Okay. So now coming around the basic concepts of OOP. So here the basic concept of OOP means that is object. So I told you anything and everything that we see around is known as an object. So just moving into the previous example over here. So this I told you, right? This example I have shown you. So this student is known as an object. This student is known as an object. This student is known as one object, and then this teacher is known as one object. So based on this student, what did we see? These are your datas. This teacher ID, teacher names to a subject. This yellow color oval is your datas, and this dark blue is known as your functions. This dark blue is known as your functions. So these are combined together into a single unit, that is your data, and your functions are combined together into a single unit known as your object, So this is how you are going to define your concept of OOP. This is how you are going to define your concept of OOP. How you are going to define that you will be learning now. Okay. So I told you the member and functions are combined. Anything that you see that is seen around is known as an object. So object, if we take anything, I told you, it has got its properties and behavior. Sorry, a spelling mistake happened. So it has got its properties and behavior. Why these properties and why these behaviors? So for example, when we take as we as a human being, we ourselves can be treated as an object. We ourselves can be treated as an object. How I can treat? What are the properties I have? Properties I have means what are the characters or the qualities in me I can tell. What are the characters and the qualities in me, I can tell that as my properties. Okay. Behavior, what are the various actions that I can perform? What are the various actions that I can perform will be known as your behavior. Able to understand? Able to understand? Properties means what are the character, what is my character, what are the qualities that I have in me is known as my the properties. So that becomes your members and the data or the state, how I am, what I am, who I am. Okay. Behavior means the methods or the member functions, what I can do, how I can do, where I will do, what I will do. Is it clear? I can do, perform some work. So what I can do, how I will do, where I will do. Like this, I can impose some questions on me. So the actions that I can perform could be treated as my behaviors. Is it clear? So for that, you have one simple example taken over here. Come down over here. So one simple example I have taken over here, that is here you can see in this green colored box. So I have taken the object to be student. I have taken the object to be student. The state means, so what are the things that are associated with the student? What are the things, that is the data that are associated with the student? So if a student, if we take, you have his register number, his name, his or her name, age, the height of the student, the marks of the student. Okay. Behavior means what are the actions that I can perform. So I have to register over here. What I means I should include the students particular details in the school software. Okay, register here means I should include the details of the student in the school system. Then change marks. So for example, you have written an exam. I have corrected or valued your papers and I have given you. And after that, if you have any change in corrections to be done, means you have a change of mark in that, right? So that becomes your change of mark. Okay. Then change in height and weight. So as days pass by, when you grow up, is it going to be the height and weight of you is going to be the same? No, it is going to be changed. So that is what is meant by your change in height. That becomes your behavior. I told you what are the things that I can perform, what I can perform, how I can perform, what will be done. So all these will come under your behavior. Okay. So this we have treated as one. I can connect it as one living thing. So what about a non-living thing? Non-living thing. Just for you to understand better only I am using these terms, okay? Generally these are not told by anybody, for you to understand. Okay. Suppose if I take a radio, okay? Object I am taking it as a radio. Understand? So what happens over here is, so with the help of a radio, what all things you can do? You can switch it on, you can switch it off, you can increase the volume, you can decrease the volume. That is current station over here means you are listening to various FM stations, right? So which is to which current station are you listening? Okay. To which current station are you listening? Or if you want to have a change of station, all these will come under your behavior pattern. So that is behavior means you are going to switch on, switch off, increase or decrease the volume, seek, that is if you want to move fast, that is to change the channels, then scan to next channel where you want to move. That is tuning means to set it right, that is for a clarity. Okay, so these are the actions that you can perform on a radio. So like this, you can go on to create the state and behavior of any object. Like this, you can go on to create the state and behavior of any object. So this is how an object is created. This is how an object is created. So using OOP implementations. So here there are some advantages and some slight disadvantages also. Problems are not divided into functions. Here it is not divided as functions. It is split as your modules based on your object. Okay. It is split as modules based on your object. We are not going to divide it as functions. To make that modules work only, we will be using functions. To make the modules work only, we will be using the functions. Has to be divided into objects. As I told you, that is problems are not divided into functions. I told you it has to be divided only in the form of objects, from that objects as modules, and then to make those modules work only, you will have the functions. Okay. Programming design is easy, close match to real world object. So programming is easy because I told you that previous example itself. If you take up the radio example, you can increase the volume to decrease the volume. Separately, you just write in key. Then to scan, that is to move on to the next channels, what to do. So like this, you can just split into smaller units and make it into a single module and make it into a single module. Okay. So like this, any object that you see, for each and everything like this, you can go on to write the programs. Is it clear? So next is objects are combining data and function. So what we have seen, that is in the student example and in the teacher example, we saw that the data and functions are combined together to known as your objects. Okay. Functions and objects are called member functions and the data are called member data. So generally we call them as member functions and your member data, because generally function, if we tell, we have learned what a function is, how the function works and all in our 11th standard. So slightly different in the sense, we are going to construct all these functions and your data inside your object. We are going to construct your data and the functions inside your object. That is why it is called as your member functions and your member data. That is why we tell them as your member functions and member data. Is this part clear for you?